صلى الله عليك يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بثنائك. عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بكيت وبكي الليل والنهار. السلام عليك يا مولانا يا أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين وقائد الغر المحجلين قسيم النار والجنة. Indeed, from amongst those companions that selflessly sacrificed their lives in the way of Imam al-Hussein is none other than the companion Shaykh al-Ansar Habib Ibn Madhahir. The ulama of Rijal have narrated that Habib Ibn Madhahir was one of the most closest companions to Amir al-Mu'mineen, and he is known to be from amongst those who are from the Asfiya, those who were selected and purified by Amir al-Mu'mineen, to the extent that Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam had entrusted Habib ibn Madhahir with knowledge of the unseen, ilm al-manaya wa ilm al-balaya, and there were very few who had attained this status, the likes of Mitham al-Tammar, the likes of Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr. And you find that within the books of history, Habib ibn Madhahir was a part of the three battles of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, who participated in the battle of Jamal and Siffin and in the battle of Nahrawan. And in fact, he was an accredited warrior and a skilled swordsman who had mastered the art of warfare under the patronage of Amir al-Mu'mineen, to the extent that on the day of Ashura, Sayyid al-Shuhada made Habib ibn Madhahir in charge of the left wing of the army. And the narrations mention that the left wing of Imam al-Hussein was engaged under the leadership of Habib ibn Madhahir in such an intense warfare that they made the army of Umar ibn Sa'ad al-La'in retreat at least 3 times when they tried to penetrate the army of Imam al-Hussein through the left wing. This Habib ibn Madhahir, you find that Imam al-Hussein writes a letter to him, and he addresses him by saying that he is a faqih, a knowledgeable scholar, and this level of scholarship that Habib attained is without any doubt through his being a student of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ruhi Lahul Fida. In regards to the sacrifice of Habib ibn Madhahir on the day of Ashura, there is much to say in regards to his selfless stances. But I would like to mention for you, whilst we are at the doorstep of Amir al-Mu'mineen, glimpses of the maqtal of Habib ibn Madhahir, such that the maqtal mentions that Habib ibn Madhahir, despite being 75 years of age, when he went into the battlefield, he attacked like a ferocious lion, scattering the ranks of the enemies, and anyone who came in front of his sword was sent to Jahannam wa bi'sal masir. And the narrations mention that at this point, the cowardly army of Umar ibn Sa'ad decided to surround Habib ibn Madhahir from all directions, and Habib was forced, because of the intensity of the attack from all 4 directions, Habib ibn Madhahir was forced to come off his horse and face the enemies on foot. And as he was surrounded from 4 sides, the narrations mention that an enemy by the name of Badil came, and he struck Habib ibn Madhahir with a brutal blow, with a fatal blow on the head with a sword. Maqtal narrates that Habib ibn Madhahir fell onto the plains of Karbala, fell on his knees, and with great courage and with a lot of pain, Habib ibn Madhahir stood up for a second time, and as blood was flowing, gushing from the top of his head onto his face and onto his beard, as he stood up again for a second time out of resistance, The narration mentions that a person from Bani Tamim came and launched a spear into the chest of Habib Ibn Madhahir. The spear head coming out from the back, and Habib fell down onto the plains of Karbala for a second time. With great courage, 75 years old Habib, who has been hungry and thirsty for 3 days, stood up for one more time, as if to say to the enemies that so long as I have an ounce of breath in my body, I shall never stop defending Imam al-Hussein. And it is at this time that the La'in Hasin ibn Numair came and struck Habib ibn Madhahir on the head with a sword, and with this the ruh of Habib ibn Madhahir left the dunya. The narrations mention that they began fighting amongst themselves as to who should behead Habib ibn Madhahir. Maqtal mentions that when Imam al-Hussein saw that Habib has been shaheed, the Maqtal says, فَبَانَ الْإِنْكِسَارَ فِي وَجْهِهِ. Imam al-Hussein was overcome with deep grief and anguish. He was so heartbroken that this was evident from the expressions on the face of Sayyid al-Shuhada. For the pain that Imam al-Hussein went through, watching his companions being shaheed one by one. Maqtal mentions that when Habib ibn Madahir's severed head was brought into Kufa, Habib ibn Madahir had a young son by the name of Qasim, and the Qasim would follow this horseman wherever he would go in the streets of Kufa. When he turned right, Qasim would follow him right. When he turned left, Qasim would follow him left. And this Qasim was looking at the severed head of his father, Habib ibn Madahir. And at one point, the Maqtal mentions that he said, "Oh man, at least give me the head of my father, such that I may bury it." It is absolutely difficult for a person and for a child to see the death of their parent and to see the dead body of their father, but to see, Allahu Akbar, a severed head. May Allah have mercy on the hearts of these children. And this brings to mind the tragedy of Sayyidah Ruqayya, that as she was in the prison of Sham, and when she saw the severed head of her father, Imam al-Hussein, the Maqtal mentions that she wept out of grief until the young girl died, hugging the severed head of her father. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And indeed, the tragedy of Imam al-Hussein has left a wound in the hearts of Ali Muhammad and in the Shias, in the heart of the Shias, a wound that shall never be healed until the day of judgment. وَلَا حَوْلَ وَلَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ.